Hello my friends, welcome to lesson 13 in the All for Strings violin course. I'm Henriette and in this lesson we're going to be thinking about page 23 in your All for Strings book. Apart from some theory in this lesson today, we're also going to play lightly row, and I'm hoping that by the end of the lesson you'll feel confident in having a go at page 23 all by yourself. So let's go ahead and let's get started with exercise 59. On the previous pages we've come across some rhythm exercises which we haven't spent too much time on, so today is the day to get knuckled down and to really get into our counting. If this scares you a little bit, if you find this a bit challenging, that's okay. We'll do it together and hopefully by the end of this lesson you'll feel more comfortable about having a go at counting yourself. So have a look at exercise 59. We're going to count this line of notes and I'll explain to you how to count it. We already know that when we see a time signature of 4/4 time, the top number really means there are 4 counts in each bar. Each bar being a section between bar lines. You can see these vertical lines here, those are called bar lines. In America people say a measure. In England people say a bar, and a bar or a measure is a section between 2 bar lines. Now the top number means there are 4 counts in each bar. The bottom number means when you count, so if you go 2, 3, 4, that tap represents the quarter note. In England we say that tap represents the crotchet note, which is a note like you can see them here. Those are called quarter notes or crotchet notes. So altogether this 4/4 time signature means there are 4 quarter notes in each bar, or there are 4 crotchet notes in each bar. Now you need to know then as well that this note here, a half note or a minim as we call them in England, equals 2 counts. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and this thingy here, this wriggly thing, is a quarter note rest. So this is a silence to the same value of a quarter note. This is a crotchet rest, which is a silence to the equivalent of a crotchet note. So in this case it's 1 count rest. Then we carry on counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We know this note, a minim or a half note, is 2 counts long. In this case, in this bar, it is count number 3 and count number 4. Now the following bar we start with a count silent, so we call this 1, 2 is that note, 3, 4, 1, 2 is the rest, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you're able to count like this, when you play all you need to do is fill in the sounds at the correct beats. That sounds a bit complicated, but once you get the hang of that, and it may not be today yet, that's absolutely fine, we're learning, so we're progressing. It may be that tomorrow the penny drops and you think, now I get it. I can clearly remember when that penny first dropped for me, and it's sort of opening your eyes to something that looks quite complicated when you look at this, okay? But you'll get there with some practice, and of course you can always wind this video back to practice that with me again. Now let's have a look at this section now, which tells you about a key signature. Now music consists of pitch and rhythm. The rhythm we've sorted out here, and this tells you about the pitch of the notes, how high the notes sound or how low the notes sound, and the key signature tells you about it. Now in our previous exercise we've learned the letter names of the notes of the stave, and we need that knowledge to work out the key signature in your music. Now here I've written those 2 sharps similar to how they are written in your book, and we need to find out about which notes these sharps tell you something. Now the first sharp, if you have a look, the one most to the left, and luckily for us, the sharps are always written in the same order. So if you have only one sharp, it's always the top one. If you have two sharps, it's always that one followed by that one, you see? So that makes it maybe slightly easier. The top sharp here is written through the top line of the stave and tells you something about this note. Now this note, it may be easier to find out what note it is by just writing an open E here. So you may remember this note here represented your E string. It was the same note where you played your E string on. Now if we go one note a little bit higher than your E string, this note is called F. But this sharp, being through the top line, makes all the notes in your whole piece into F sharp. So this note is not just called F, but it's called F sharp because it's affected by this sharp here at the top. I said a moment ago, this sharp makes all the notes called F in your music into F sharps. So also this note F is called F sharp. You play this with 2 fingers on the D string, don't you? So far in your book, all these individual notes, second finger on D, have had hashtags in front of them to indicate that they were called F sharps. But from now on, we don't need that sharp anymore because we now know that when we have a sharp at the start, it makes all the notes called F into F sharps. So I can now erase this sharp because we know this note is now called F sharp because we've got our sharp there. The second sharp is a C sharp, but because we haven't learned to play the C yet, I'm not going to bother you with that. We'll come across it as we learn to play the C sharp, you see. But just all you need to remember at this stage is when you see 2 sharps here, we're playing in the key of D major, and that's also one of those scary musical terms. What does it actually mean, playing in the key of D major? It just means that the piece that you play finishes on a D. And when you finish on a D, you get the impression that this music has come to a conclusion. You can't sing or play anything else after it because it's the end of your piece. And you will find that so far we've learned to play on the D string, haven't we? All your pieces have finished on a D. So we have played in the key of D major all along without you knowing it. But this is just to explain to you a little bit more about the music theory and how we would officially call this music that you've been playing. Enough of that. Now this section about bow division you've already learned as you went along, so you can ignore this because we know about upper half and lower half, UH upper half, LH lower half, and WB whole bow. We also have thought briefly about the middle of the bow, but we haven't spent too much time on that because I want you to make a clear distinction between the lower half and the upper half of the bow. So when we play exercise 61, we're going to work specifically on the upper half and the lower half of the bow, and you can see the abbreviations underneath here to help you divide the bow properly. You know this already because we've practiced it in previous lessons. Shall we play this then? So we're going to start this tune at the lower half of the bow, and we're going to start at the heel of the bow. I'm checking my finger line, my thumb, my left wrist and my elbow. Are you ready? We're starting with 2 short bows and then a long one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Long bow. This brings you to the point. Now we're playing half a bow from the point. Whole bow. This brings you to the heel of the bow. So now we're playing half a bow from the heel. Whole bow and another whole bow. Rest and 4th finger now. Upper half. Whole bow now. Lower half now. Whole bow. Upper half. Whole bow. And I should think that this is fairly straightforward for you. Can you also spot that we've just finished on a long D? We're playing in the key of D major. Check out your key signature at the start of this piece, and hey, we can see two hashtags, two sharps there, an F sharp and a C sharp. That's all you need to know for now. Now we're ready to play the song number 62 now, Lightly Row, and lots of you will know this song. So let's test our fingers and let's go. Fourth finger. I'll count us in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Use your fourth finger if you can. Rest. Amazing playing, and suddenly you find yourself much more in control of your notes, I'm hoping, because you've got a good bowing technique. You've developed a very good left hand technique. Let's think about two things in this piece. First of all, let's spot that you finish on a D and you've got two sharps at the start of your music, so that means that this piece is written in the key of D major. Secondly, in this piece you've got bar numbers written in. Can you see those counts? 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. And that is written in there to help you with your practice. Now when we practice this piece, how can you do that in the most efficient way? First of all, what we tend to do is play a whole piece through, and that is a good way of practicing. You might want to practice your piece by playing it 3 times in a row. And then you'll become much more fluent because you play more, so therefore you will become more fluent into your playing. But you may get stuck at one particular point, and I would make a sort of mental note of which bar number that is. You might get stuck, for instance, at bar 12, and the next time when you practice bar 12 a couple of times over, so that you might find out the reason why you got stuck at bar 12. If you could find the reason, why did I get confused at bar 12? It's easier to get better at bar 12, isn't it? So, of course, that will be different for each individual, although sometimes people might be confused in the same places, and that's okay. And I want you to think about going from bar 1 into bar 2 now, because many people would find that quite complicated. Shall we just practice the beginning again? So I'm practicing my mini notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the bit which many people find quite challenging because I'm placing my third finger on the string and at the same time I'm playing a half bow from the point to the middle. So you might practice that a few times. If that's you, work out why this is so complicated. Okay, because I've got a third finger and I've got an up bow. Let's go back to the beginning now and see if that has helped a little bit. So I've still got my third finger on the string. So what I do is I add my fourth. So now I'm ready to start. And we're just playing this to find out if bar 2 is now easier. And long bow. You see, if that was your hardest section initially, hopefully by practicing it separately, just by highlighting this and sorting it out, I think another section in your music will now be the most challenging bit. So you can sort that out in turn, and once you've sorted that out, something else might then be the hardest, mightn't it? So you try to fix each individual aspect before you put it all back together, which is what we're going to do for an end of your lesson today. So let's play the whole song now. Checking over your finger line, your thumb, your left wrist, your left elbow. Testing our notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. To rest and super progress, well done. And you will have noticed that your playing is gradually become smoother. Your tone is developing, you get a clearer sound, and I'm hoping that by now, because you've adjusted your elbow levels, you're not touching as many other strings that you didn't mean to play. So excellent progress. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson where we're going to practice Jingle Bells. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.